Good evening everybody and welcome to our Year 9 Options Process launch for 2021. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mrs Scanlon. I'm the Senior Assistant Head Teacher here at Queen's Park High, and I will be supporting the students and staff to take them through this process over the next few weeks and months. During Key Stage 4, that is to say Years 10 and 11, there are certain subjects which the government say students have to study. These are known as the core subjects. They include English, both literature and language, mathematics, science, RE, PE and citizenship and PHSCE. You may have heard of something called the EBAC or the English Baccalaureate. There are certain subjects that the Department for Education recommends that students study during their time in Key Stage 4. They are either geography or history and a modern foreign language, which at Queen's Park High would mean either French or Spanish. Together with the subjects in the core curriculum, these make up what is known as the English Baccalaureate or the EBAC. It is important to point out that this is a recommendation rather than a stipulation, and at Queen's Park High School we do offer some flexibility within our options process and don't force all students to go down this path. However, we would also recommend that students do consider this as an option because it does ensure that broad and balanced curriculum. To reiterate why it's important, it does show that students have studied a balanced curriculum with a range of academic subjects. The government have also set targets for a significant proportion of students to have studied the EBAC over time. At Queen's Park High School, students will study towards 9 GCSE qualifications on average, which compares favourably to a national average of 8.6 GCSEs. The subjects in which those qualifications will be achieved is shown on the slide here. In science, students will achieve 2 GCSE qualifications, which will either be of the same grade, so a 4-4, or 2 grades which are next door to each other, for example a 5-4. But all students studying science at GCSE through the core programme will end up with 2 GCSE qualifications. There is an opportunity for students to choose separate science or triple science by allocating one of their option subjects to this. That would mean students would have 3 separate qualifications, 1 in biology, 1 in chemistry and 1 in physics. In terms of the teaching and learning time allocated to each subject, you've got an overview here on the slide. So for English, Maths and Science, the core subjects, you've got quite a significant number of hours dedicated to those. Slightly more time allocated in English and Science because you will end up with 2 qualifications in each of those subjects, so English language and literature, and then science as I explained on the previous slide. The other time you've got allocated to core subjects is outlined there, and for each option subject you choose you will get 5 hours per fortnight. So just to clarify, this allocation of hours is across a 2-week timetable. So in addition to the subjects we've spoken about earlier, the core subjects, you also have subjects which are known as option subjects. You will see here there are 2 option blocks from which you choose 2 options each. Option block A is the option block built around that EBAC recommendation. However, what you will see is that those subjects are blocked together and we don't actually force students to go down the pathway of having A language and an humanity, that we allow you to choose the 2 that you wish to do the most in that block. So it is possible to do both French and Spanish and no humanity, or equally to do computer science and history and no language. However, we would just remind you to consider that EBAC option and to ensure that you've got that balance that you could possibly have, and to think about who you might be competing with in the future in terms of the qualifications that those young people will have. In option block B, you've got the sort of more free options, I'll call them, the open options, and within that option block you also will choose 2 subjects. You'll see in option block B that triple science sits in there. If you are someone who would like to do separate sciences and get qualifications separately in chemistry, biology and physics, then you will need to choose triple science from option block B in order to complement and supplement the science you've already got within your core programme. In terms of actually making your options, you'll be sent a link to a Microsoft form. That is your options form. The link may be sent to parents in order that they can see what you've chosen and that they have a part in this too. On the form, you will be asked to select choices in order of preference. So you'll be asked to make a first and a second choice from a particular block, along with a reserve for each of those options. It is very important that you do choose your subjects in order of preference, and it is also vital that you choose a reserve. We ask you to choose reserves for some important reasons. So it is important that you do consider what those reserve choices are and that they are subjects you would be happy to be studying at GCSE. Okay, so for example, if there are too few students who choose a subject for a class in that option to be viable to run, then it may be that we cannot run that option subject, in which case your first reserve subject would then be considered. With a free choice option, as this currently is, it is also possible that your combination of options may not work, and therefore we may need to look to your first or second reserve in order to make your combination of subjects work for you in years 10 and 11. As you can imagine, this is quite a complicated process when we're looking at 120, 130 different students, different combinations of subjects, and trying to make the best fit. Okay, therefore it is really important, just to reiterate, that you choose things in those reserves and that you choose things that you would like to do. As a point of caution, don't think if I don't put a reserve in, they will have to give me my first or my second choice. It doesn't work like that. We will do everything we possibly can to make your combination of subjects work, and in the vast majority of cases it does happen. However, there are cases where we can't make it work, and it is therefore important that we can allocate you to a choice that you've made as a reserve, as opposed to just putting you into a class that you haven't necessarily specified. If there are any concerns with your options, if your combination doesn't work or perhaps a subject isn't going to run, then someone will have a conversation with you about that, whether that's your tutor, Mrs Bearcroft, Miss Hunter, myself, or someone else within the senior leadership team. We will have a conversation with you about it. Now, I realise I've spent quite a lot of time there talking about if things don't work, but just to reiterate, in the vast majority of cases, things do work. So do put your choices down as you want them to be. Get those choices in by the closing date so that we can then start working on making those option blocks work and making those timetables work for you. So a question we're often asked on our launch events is, do I have to decide now? And the answer to that really clearly is no. This is the start of a process, okay? And that process involves lots of different things. You need to speak to staff first and foremost to find out more about the courses. Unfortunately, this evening we can't hold the event we would normally hold, which is a bit of a marketplace in our hall or our dining room where you can come and talk to staff about their courses. Instead, what we've done is set up a Teams event for tomorrow from 2:15, where you will be able to go and meet with staff who teach these subjects at GCSE to ask questions about them, to talk about whether they think you would be suitable for the course, to talk about your aspirations. Is there anything that you really want to do in the future that means it's really important for you to do a particular combination of subjects? Talk to some of your friends in older year groups who may be taking these subjects. What are they like? Do they enjoy them? Is it what they thought it was going to be? What are they enjoying? What are they not enjoying? And also talk to your parents. This is a process that involves lots of different people giving you advice on lots of different things. One of my great pieces of advice at GCSE is this: think about the subjects that you enjoy learning. Think about the subjects that make you thrive. Those are the sorts of subjects that you want to be thinking about taking at GCSE. If you're happy when you're learning, you're going to work really hard. And whilst it is great to have aspirations and to think ahead to the future, There are no limitations in terms of the subjects that you take at GCSE particularly, especially in that open block, okay? It's about taking subjects that you are going to really enjoy. If I can just share with you an experience of mine, when I was your age, which is quite a long time ago now, I was told at that point that I had to take a technology subject, and I actually chose to do computing rather than music GCSE. That was because people said, this is the future, this is what you need to do. In my heart, I knew that I wanted to do music, and in the end I was able to do it, which turned out really well for me because I am now a music teacher with a music degree. But it is important that you think about what those subjects are that you really want to do, okay, and perhaps where they might take you, but equally making sure that you get the best possible grades that you can, because GCSEs essentially are the next step to the next thing that you want to do in your life, whether that's A levels in a sixth form, going to college, doing an apprenticeship. So getting the GCSEs at the best possible grades that you can is vital at this point in time, and choosing subjects that you're going to really enjoy, that you're going to really thrive in, will help you to get to that point. Your forms are due in by Friday the 19th of March. It is important to get them in on time, because after the 19th of March is when we will start looking at and putting this information into our options package, which will then create the 4 separate blocks that will need to exist for your timetable. If your application form is late, then that means your combination of subjects may not have been considered during that blocking process, and may therefore create a problem with the subjects that you want to do, okay? So all the information that we have by the 19th of March will go into our package in order to try and get the best outcome for the vast majority of students, okay? Ideally for every single one of you, but I'm not going to promise that that will happen. As I said before, if there are any issues with your subjects, then we will speak to you, okay? We will have a conversation and we will talk through what the alternatives are for you. So to conclude, this is your future, and they are your choices. They are choices that we want you to make in liaison with people. They are choices that we want you to make with information and as informed as they can be. Okay, they are important decisions and we take them really seriously, and we hope that you will too. There is lots of information around for you to engage with, and we would ask you to engage with that. Please look at the literature, the course information booklets, and find out what it is exactly that you would be studying at GCSE. It isn't just about the subject, it's about the curriculum content, it's about the way things are assessed. Is it all exam? Is there any coursework? You need to find out that information so that you are making informed choices. Okay, please engage with the opportunity tomorrow to meet with your staff via Teams, teachers who teach those GCSE subjects that can give you some feedback and can give you the information and specific questions that you might have about each of those subjects. You can also talk to your teachers when you're back in school later this week, which obviously we're really looking forward to, and this is a perfect time for you to be coming back to us. I'll leave it there for now, but I am available for any general questions about the process. Please do ask them in the chat here. Otherwise, we'll see you very soon, year 9, almost year 10. And parents, if there's anything I can do, please do contact me directly at school. Thanks very much for listening.